Welcome everyone. It's Cisco Canada's virtual kitchen. I'm like, oh my god, too much caffeine. Anyways, we have a great show lined up. It's the Restaurant Side Hustle show, as we call it. I'm going to bring this rock legend in here right now. Karen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Karen, this time I forgot to mention we're also live on TikTok right now too. So, hi to my TikTok crew. But anyways, so Karen, today's all about packaging. We have a packaging legend on the show in relationship to food inflation. So thank you for tweaking the show a little bit to really address food inflation and all the things that are happening out there. And I think I'm excited to talk to Lisa about. Lisa, I hope you're prepared in the green room about all the crazy stuff we're going to ask you about packaging. But anyways, Karen, do you want to tell us a little bit about Food Venture Program, because you have one of the coolest companies out there helping people?
Thanks. That's really sweet. So yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of Food Venture Program. I
think you froze. Karen? Uh-oh. First glitch. Let's try to move that music. Hi, Karen? All right, we're going to break for a quick commercial and see if Karen can come back in a second. Be right back.
Cisco Classic High Performance Nitrile Gloves. Cisco Classic High Performance Nitrile Gloves are great for back-of-the-house tasks such as chopping and slicing, working around moderate heat, or customer-facing operations. They offer an elegant look and superior protection for any culinary application where touch dexterity, cut protection, and presentation are key. Cisco Classic High Performance Nitrile Gloves have superb tensile strength plus a flexible form-fitting design. They are an ideal barrier protection when working around moderate heat, oil, and chemicals. They can be used for cleaning and sanitizing in the front or back of the house. They're available in black and cobalt blue for any HACCP programs. They are great for detail-oriented tasks and are compliant with all FDA regulations for safe food contact. Nitrile gloves offer the right protection for the wearer when performing precision tasks that require long wear and a fitted grip. Cisco Classic High Performance Nitrile Gloves are available for order today. See your local Cisco representative for more information.
Hey, Lisa. Welcome to the show. We lost Karen. Karen's internet. It was her fancy mic. Anyways, we'll bug her when she comes back. But welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
It's super exciting. So first of all, can you share a little bit about the company, who you are, all this great stuff that you do in this space, which is very exciting for us to talk about today?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My name is Lisa Cove. I own CoMotion Packaging Solutions, which I started a couple of years ago, really to address the gap there is founders need when they're starting out. So entrepreneurs, restaurateurs who want to take something to market. There's a lot of information out there that's kind of held by people who work at management levels at large corporations who are already on the store shelves. And I wanted to be able to bring that knowledge to the starting up and scaling up food businesses. So at CoMotion, I do that in two umbrellas. So food packaging and food safety. Those are my two areas of expertise. So I think you have some questions today, probably about food safety, but of course, packaging up food products as well. I spent my career working for large corporations like Ferrero Canada, where we manufactured Rocher, Tic Tac, and Nutella. And that has since...
Whoa, wait a minute. You said Nutella.
Yes.
I asked you earlier if you had a cool packaging story.
Well, you know what? Because sometimes the packaging that went on Nutella was dreadful for the buyers. It was hard for us to source really well and to find good printers for that stuff. So yeah, it's great on the retail shelf, but it's a little bit more difficult on the back end.
Nice.
So I have a little bit of reservations about some of that packaging.
Okay, well, we're gonna get down to it. It's like deep talk with Lisa in packaging.
Anyways,
we do have, exactly. We'll know the truth.
Yeah.
I hope you're not. There's Karen. She's back.
Hi.
Karen, you disappeared. I don't know if it was my
Yes.
fancy music.
No,
Anyways,
I
welcome back.
have satellite internet. I live out in the country, and sometimes that just had to happen at the worst moment. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Blame Elon Musk.
We did a glove commercial, so don't worry. Pretty good.
Awesome.
Anyways, so Karen, do you want to share a little bit? I think you were getting into what Food Venture program is and what you do over there, and maybe that connects us to Lisa, and then we'll get into grilling Lisa and some questions.
Yeah, so I don't know where I got cut off, but essentially Food Venture program offers educational programs and consulting to food product owners across North America. We are based in Canada, and we have a whole team of experts that join us for our programming, and they teach in our programs. So Lisa is one of them, and she's our go-to expert for packaging and food safety as well. And yeah, kind of like where I came into this business is I have a food product of my own, and being a dietitian as well. I used to do a lot of food product labeling consulting from the health aspect of things. And that's really, long story short, how I got into doing what I'm doing now as one of the co-founders of Food Venture program.
Very cool. So obviously, like over this month and next month, we've been talking about inflation, and we're going to come up with solutions and stuff. I have some I think is really cool, and I love the questions you sent in, Karen, is really around this area. So I'm going to direct this to Karen first. So Karen, in your area of work, what are you seeing right now restaurants are doing right now to combat food inflation?
Yeah, so as you know, we really focus on food product development, but it's really interesting because in 2020, when we first actually started this business, we had mostly people that were either like retiring from their jobs and were looking to start a food product as a kind of side business. But further into the pandemic, as you all probably know, a lot of restaurant owners were looking for alternative ways of making income. And one of the biggest ways that we saw was restaurant owners turning their recipes into food products. So that became our biggest client, was restaurant owners. And to this day still, even though restaurants are opening back up, it seems like this is still a trend where, popular recipes from restaurants are being turned into CPG, or as we know them as consumer packaged goods. So they're selling them on their on their own store shelves in their restaurants, maybe at the checkout counter, or they're just kind of like on shelves within the store as part of the decor in the store as well, in the restaurant. And then of course, once they kind of use that space to see how well their product does, and if there's a really demand for it, and if they can get sales from just selling in their own restaurants, then they're starting to look for distributors and selling beyond just the restaurant shop front. And then going beyond that to like selling through distributors like Cisco, or getting onto store shelves at Loblaws and stuff like that. So it's really interesting how kind of the tide changed during the pandemic.
Jay, you're muted.
That was I did that this time. Nice job, Lisa. So I was going to say, Karen, that a lot of restaurants were talking with us on their packaging, like sauces and dressings and different things like that to pull that extra income into this. So I'm going to throw this to Lisa. So if a restaurant has a really good product right now and they want to package it up, what's that legal process look like? Because there's got to be some legal stuff they got to do. They can't just whip it up at home and throw it in a bottle and slap a label on it. Because I'm sure there's people that've tried that.
There was a lot of people that tried that during the pandemic, actually. So I think you did see a huge growth in kind of home-based businesses, but specifically going to the restaurant side of it. Yes, absolutely, restaurants can do this. The good news is that the system is there for restaurants who already have an approved commercial kitchen. Public health comes in and inspects it. You're completely allowed to make a product, bottle it up, and sell it to your customers. And the idea is built around that it's going to be sold kind of in the local market or somewhere within your province. So that still remains relatively local. If you don't have enough space to do it within your own kitchen, you may consider renting a commercial kitchen that has a little bit more room, or perhaps some packaging equipment that you might use to speed up the process, or you might farm it out to a co-manufacturer, which is something else we see done. But at the end of the day, if you have a commercial kitchen or a restaurant that's approved by public health, yes, you absolutely can bottle up your products, but just make sure that you're considering things like shelf life, and your labels at least got some information on it that will make it a little bit safe for your consumer, and if there's any handling instructions that they require.
Lisa, is that the same for like these community markets, that a restaurant may take a product to those community markets? Does that still apply to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to be able to sell at a market, farmer's market or something like that, you definitely want to make sure that you have public health inspections. So there is an exemption for to make some food at home. They're called cottage food products. They're not really written in law, but certain things like baked goods or candies or sweets, some people are making them in their home and packaging them up, as long as they've notified public health and got a sign off on it. But in terms of your restaurant, you can absolutely do that, but the process is the same. You must have like that A+ check mark from public health to be able to take it to the markets and get that sign off, just to show that you made it in a kitchen that's safe and that you have like food handler certificate, things like that. So you understand food safety to the minimum amount, at least the bare minimum.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got a lot of questions. Prepare yourself.
Yeah,
but is there any foods that are exempt from this, like that may not, you don't need it? Because I'm sure there is.
Yeah, well, so that's what I was saying with the cottage food laws, actually, that there are some food products that you can make in your own home as long as you've notified public health. So baked goods, candies, things like that, chocolate. You can look up cottage food laws. That's the term you want to throw into.
But that's what it's called, cottage food laws.
Yeah, cottage food laws. It's different in every jurisdiction, so make sure you check your own local public health to make sure. Every province is different, and in the U.S., every state is different as well. But in terms of anything outside of that cottage, you really need to have that commercial kitchen in place. I know that during the pandemic, we did see a rise in some people starting businesses just to kind of make ends meet, or to just fill that gap of time that they had, or whatever. They had that creative outlet and was going into food, but we want to make sure that they're following the doing a kitchen.
In this space here, I want to pull this out again. Again, this was on the list. But I want to talk about, because this is for a lot of restaurants, this can be a very profitable additional revenue stream. Karen, is there any examples? Like, is it just a few bucks? Or can actually restaurants make quite a bit of money on this? So they invest money, they're doing the time and money they're going to invest in this space. Is it ROI?
To be honest, I don't consult on the profit end of things, but I can just tell you from my own.
You can tell us.
I can tell you the experience from my own experience, just having a food product of my own. But on average, like from each sale of my own product, and we actually teach this in our programs, that you want to have at least 30% of your product, like 30% markup, so that you profit 30% on every single product that you sell. And so we can translate that to restaurant owners as well. So
is that average?
Yes.
Like Karen, that's a rule of like thumb, like 30%, because that's pretty good.
It's a rule of thumb that, yeah, we teach that as a rule of thumb, but we do have entrepreneurs that make like 60% of their cost as well. So, I mean, it depends on how how you're pricing and where you're sourcing your products from. And Lisa can probably attest to this, but packaging tends to be one of the most costly pieces of the product compared to your ingredients. So usually it's the packaging.
Wait a second. Whoa. Okay. Now we're going to walk down a different question here. And Lisa, this is going to involve you. Because is single-use plastics fall into this space too on the bans that are coming out?
Not yet. So that's a no with an if and a yes with a but.
You said not yet.
That's right.
So
yes.
Get some insight.
There is full intention in Canada to remove any sort of single-use plastic or hard to recycle plastic.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, the world of food packaging is immensely made up of that single-use plastic.
Is it actually like in the packaging? It is. Hey, like you can't use that. So now. Sorry, I got a lot of questions
talk
here.
about recycling, we'll have a whole other show because it's a whole other realm, to be honest. But I'll speak to the point that, you know, the single-use plastic in the industry, it's not that it can't necessarily be recycled in the food packaging world, it's that the system isn't designed to recycle all of it. So recycling is a for-profit business and people have to make money off of recycling. And if there's no call for buying recycled material, it doesn't get purchased, which means it doesn't get properly recycled. So that's a caveat. Right now, the ban covers your forks, your knives, your straws, plastic bags, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, we've had a show on it, so that's why I'm asking the question on it, because we've had a show recently on it last week. We have another one coming up, but I just want to ask about it because when I'm thinking about restaurants putting their products in different things, is there a rule of thumb of what they should be considering when it comes to sauces and dressings and that stuff? Like they can't just put it in any container? Did they have to go through a process on what? Because I'm sure, once again, some people have probably put it in anything that you saw maybe through the pandemic.
So there's a couple things there. So you may be tempted to just package it up. Depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to just put a product in your refrigerator and have something take home, like a little bit of sauce in a small plastic container for your customer to take home, any container will do. When you're trying to have a product that's shelf stable, which means you're going to be able to sell it 3 months from now, and it just sits in without refrigeration in the decor, as Kieran said, you have to process it in a way to make it shelf stable, which means that jar has to be sealed properly. Typically, we see glass jars with metal lids because they can be heat sealed and properly treated so that they seal properly and they're shelf stable. So you absolutely want to do your research on that if you're trying to get something to be shelf stable. Work with a consultant if you need to, or do your research online to make sure, just like home canning, like picture you're canning something at home or making a sauce at home and you want it to last for the entire year, you need to seal it with a water bath. The concepts are relatively the same.
So maybe this is both questions for you. So we know that there's probably a lot of these things that are going on that people maybe didn't go through the right processes. Who monitors that? Is that the health board or the local regional health boards, or who watches to make sure people are doing the right things in this space? Who wants to jump on that, Karen?
Well, it's public health really that.
Okay, public health. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is regional. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lisa.
Yeah, I can speak to this point too, because just in terms of the markets and things like that, when you go to a farmer's market, what you'll see is public health will actually walk around a farmer's market and they'll ask to see your certificate.
Really?
Yep, they will. And they'll, if you don't have that piece of paper that says this restaurant or this food product was made at a certified kitchen, they can shut you down. You may even receive fines depending on your local market. So you want to follow all the rules of your local farmer's market. Whatever it be, fire suppression for your food truck or whatever it might be that they require of you, but just make sure you've got your ducks in a row. It's super simple to get public health approval as long as you're following good food handling procedures. So definitely if you're at the local market, if you're selling something at a store, of course, public health can't be everywhere at every time. So, but someone could report you to public health as well. It's just like having a restaurant open without that stamp of approval on the window. Same thing. You might fly under the radar for a short period of time, but eventually
they'll get you.
They'll get you for sure.
The thing is, though, like as a restaurant owner, it's almost like easier to get a food product out there because you already should have public health certification. You should already have your food handler certificate. You're pretty much 50% the way there. You just need to find a packaging, discover how you want your branding and design on your package to look. So with our food entrepreneurs that we get, maybe 50% of them are not restaurant owners and they don't have a space to produce. So as a restaurant owner, you're already there because you have the space to to produce legally. So it's not too big of an issue with food or restaurant owners. So it's a good thing.
So that's a thing that I think we should put a shout out to all the restaurants out there, because one, if you're making 30 points on a dressing they're already doing, because the food inflation right now is very tight for restaurants, and the profitability and the profits of poor people is very short. This is a great opportunity because you got the kitchen, you got the manpower. Maybe this is for Karen as well, Lisa, both of you, you're both brilliant in this space. Is it a lot of work? Like if I said, I got J Sauce, I'm in a restaurant, I got this barbecue sauce I've been doing for a while. I'm like, I want to put it in a package, I want to sell it. We'll talk about the retail side here in a second, how to get into retail. But before I start that process, I know I can make 30 points. Is it a lot of work? Like, am I going to invest a lot of work in this space, or is it just a little less? Or is it a lot?
I can. You want
what's that one?
Well, that was a big question.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big question. So, it depends on how involved you want to get, because you have a small scale food product CPG brand, and then you can scale all the way up to trying to get into the large retail stores. So if you are just trying to put something on the shelves, it's a little bit of investment in learning. So there's going to be learning curves, and packaging design, and your branding, as well as just the general cost of designing it. Maybe if you're not a graphic designer, you're probably going to pay a designer to design your packaging for you, just so you have a good brand, and go from there. Starting out at that first level, I would say totally worth it for someone who already has. In terms of that cost question we were talking about earlier, if you don't have the cost of a commercial kitchen, you're saving big, and that's why you can have that 30 point on a bottle of sauce, because commercial kitchens rent out by the hour. So someone who doesn't already have that advantage, imagine you can only produce 25 bottles of sauce in an hour, and it costs you X number of dollars per hour plus whatever rental fees they charge you. There's always something added on, right? So you have that already. You have a huge advantage to kind of take it and roll with it. It's, there's more to do once you want to get to the national level for your food product, which you can absolutely, invest a lot more money and a lot more time if you want to scale it up to the retail level.
Now, is it as easy as I see on the Dragon's Den? Because I always see it on the Dragon's Den, and then they're like, oh yeah, we sold this, and they make no money. Is that because they go into retail maybe at the wrong angle, or they don't use people like yourself or Karen? Like, is that why? It's because usually I hear it all the time. Every day I watch it, and it's just like, ooh. And I think this is the one thing, and before you answer that, I want to say this because Karen may think I don't listen. But you know what she said last show was, you got to go into the grocery aisle. You got to look at what's not there and what is. Because a lot of people think that they can create another barbecue sauce. Well, there's a barbecue sauce galore in some of these stores. Do you need another barbecue sauce, right? So anyways, there's just, see, Karen, I listened to you.
Like in terms of that question, that's a really good point, that there's if you want to get in the store shelves and be on Loblaw shelves, you have to push something else out. You're not going there. They don't create new space for you. They create, they put you in and take something else out. So you have to be really good. You have to have a value proposition that puts you above somebody else's food product. And oftentimes it's down to taste and branding and how you've built your brand. And you have to show the retailers sales in order to get that space. You have to get into something that makes you different from everyone else.
So Lisa, does those sales then, like, let's say, and I know I'm going to get shot for this, but is for restaurants, they carried the sauce, they went through the process, they got the packaging and everything else. They don't have any sales or they have very minimal because they've been trying to sell it through their restaurant. Maybe it's on their menu, maybe it's on their tables. But then they go over to Amazon. So you know what? I want to sell on Amazon to get, because I hear that all the time on the Shark's Tank. Is that a good way to go, or is it better to go through like the farmers market route and start small and retail, local small grocery stores or things like that? Which way would you recommend?
Yeah, that's an open debate. Amazon, think about yourself and your own purchasing. Do you buy a lot of groceries through Amazon? There are obviously people who are doing it. And it is really good for the starting out. There's questions about how much you're actually making in markup and all that stuff. Like, what are you actually coming home with at the end? But it's great for brand building, and it's great to demonstrate sales to a buyer at a grocery store. You may do two things in conjunction. That's what I see a lot, where I see people doing the hands-on markets where they're actually handing out samples to people, try my sauce. And then they're also on Amazon, and they have a good social media presence, because that's so important. So that is definitely the question right now, whether or not, I don't know if that Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, and it's kind of like they bought that grocery store in order to, feed that need, because people aren't 100% online buying their groceries. So, but it is a good way to demonstrate sales beforehand, so you can have something to take to the grocery store or to the buyers.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about social media, and that's something that, I live and breathe, and it seems like nowadays is, so I got a sauce. I'm just going to go through the process. I went through the process. I met with Karen. She told me what to do. I got all the sauces. I got the right packaging, got the laws, got everything there. I've tried Amazon. Now I said, we got to go over social, because I see that all the time, is that a lot of success on the social media side for creating some buzz and hype around your products. Do restaurants and stuff like that, would they hire someone, or is it better to just use themselves, or would they go to an influencer model? What's the suggestion, Karen?
Do you mean for the sales? Do you mean for the sales side of things?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, just from experience and seeing our own entrepreneurs and their success, it's really nice for the people on like the receiving side of the pitch. Like, for example, you go to a grocery store, they actually appreciate hearing and seeing the story from the business owner themselves.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
like the Paul Newman method.
Yeah, sure. It's way more personal, right? And I think too, when it comes to selling a product, people love to hear the story. Right now, if you jump onto any podcast about branding and marketing, it always goes back to talking about your story. And it always, in my opinion, it's best told by the owner themselves. And so this is just my personal opinion, but I do think that all of the work leading up to the sales point can be outsourced. Like personally, I've outsourced my packaging and branding. I've even outsourced like I have a co-packer who's going to co-pack my product for me. So I'm not literally making my product anymore, but I will be on the sales side of things. And so I think it depends too on where your strengths lie. Like you can find a distributor to sell your product for you, and that can really help you get to places that you won't be able to on your own. But there are entrepreneurs that mix it up. Like some entrepreneurs will say, I'm going to do some sales myself, but I'm also going to give my product to a distributor to help me, reach out to places that I would be able to. So I do see a mixed model happening quite often. A lot of owners like to be at the forefront and know what's happening when they go to sales meetings and, be in it. So yeah, it's just kind of experience in my opinion there.
So getting someone else to make your products, that's probably for a lot of restaurants, maybe down the road, if it does take off. Like it's not something you need to consider right away though.
No, I mean, especially like Lisa said, if you have a kitchen, you're basically halfway there to getting your product out there. That is, and what we see with our clients, it's the biggest barrier to entry into the food product market is not having a commercial kitchen. Exactly. So you can get the machinery to scale up, maybe if you have the space in your restaurant kitchen. Until you get to the point where you just can't produce in your kitchen anymore. And at that point, we have seen people just buy a facility, or if they have the money, or lease out a facility themselves and not go through the co-packer route. So there's so many options.
Yeah. I've seen some cooperative kitchens, especially in Edmonton here, where there's a few of them that get together and they cut the cost down on the commercial kitchen, and they have that location. I think it's great. I think when you think about restaurants and making that extra money and profitability and stuff like that through these inflation times, let's call it, making that extra money if you're already halfway there. I also think the consumer, maybe looking for some of those unique sauces or dressings or different things that are going to be coming out there. Is there any consumer insights you want to share, Lisa, on people doing this?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. When you said that, totally hit a nerve there. Like, shop local became huge during the last couple of years. People want to buy kind of hyper local is the word that's being used.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hyper local. So if you can get a stick that's made down the road, you may skip out on buying something at Loblaws or at, let's not pick on Loblaws all the time, but, Sobeys or Metro or wherever you're working for. So, if you can market that shopping local, hyper local, and local ingredients, kind of tailoring it to, like, we did this and, sales it that way, it's a fantastic idea. And I don't think that that's a trend that's going to disappear soon. It maybe has tapered off a little bit, but it's still, people are aware of what's in their community now because they were kind of in their communities for tight little time, and they want to support small business in their area as well because they know how important it is. So I would definitely jump on that if that's something you're looking into. This is a great time to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'm blown away. First of all, restaurants, you're halfway there, pretty good margins, and people want to buy local, and it helps with inflation and buy from a restaurant any day, right? So first of all, thank you, Karen. Thank Lisa for really shedding a huge amount of light in this space right now. And we can definitely help a lot of restaurants out by going down this path. And then they can go to both your websites we have there to go check out and to learn more and to possibly work with you guys on creating some products for them and make extra money. It doesn't hurt.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Thank you both. And hopefully we hear more great stories like this. It's always a blast. So thank you so much for having Lisa on the show with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us too.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, as we wrap up here for today, folks, we'll be back again tomorrow with another show with Lasan on beverages. And we're going to be making money with mocktails. So to everyone else out there, have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.